And welcome back to day 19 of Survivor 50 seasons and 50 days. I just finished watching Survivor Samoa, where Natalie White wins in a blowout. Thank goodness. And I always forget that it is not even close. And we'll get to other finalists that have the same amount of final tribal votes as the runner-up this season. I'm joined by two returnees from the last time that I did this. And in fact, Lily has done this both times that I've done this. Right? Yes, that is true. So first we have Lily, and we also have Alex, who just started watching a lot of these seasons within the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, basically.
So before we went live, we were kind of talking about, your first experience with Samoa and how you were able to avoid the big spoiler of the ending. So what had you heard going into it? Did you know anything about it?
I mean, I knew it was the season that Russell was on, or at least his first season, because I feel like I knew at that point he was also on Heroes vs. Villains. So I was like, okay, this guy's gonna, and I already also heard he was like, the biggest villain in Survivor history. So I was like, oh, okay, what's he gonna do? And then he starts, dumping everyone's water and burning everyone's socks. I'm like, okay, this is getting interesting. And then they just kept giving him confessionals every single oh my god! And I forgot
that Lily doesn't get a confessional till episode 4. I'm
which
sure
is
3 or 4.
insulting. Yeah. And I forgot that most of Russell's confessionals are just like nothing burgers. Like honestly, most of it is literally just like, I have all these people under my thumb, and I'm planting my Russell seeds wherever I go.
Russell seeds. Lily, how about you? When you first watched, like you said before we went live, you had mentioned how you were shocked when he doesn't win. What were your vibes? What were your vibes on him as the season kind of went along? Like, were you buying into the hype? Because it seems like a lot of these fans are buying into the hype in 2010. But
I know. Well, I think so. I have residual, like I brain dump a lot of things, which I feel like I say every time I come on these. And so I watched this when it was live in 2010. And my feeling walking away from that is that I hate Russell. And so I knew going into this season that I didn't like him. I didn't like him, 16 years ago. So I knew I wasn't going to like him now. But at the beginning, we're just getting off of season 50, so his edit is so strong that I panicked and was like, wait, does he win this? Like, it was like, did I do myself a disservice? Like, I panicked for a second. So I don't understand the Russell Hands love, but I guess like good for him that there are people out there that like get it.
well, and this is and we'll talk all about this at the end of this. But from what I heard, Russell apparently thought he had won some. Yeah, of course he did. And thankfully, at the reunion, you can see on his face that he knows he's done, because apparently Shambo had messaged him afterwards, was like, "Hey, I don't think people voted for you." But we're gonna get to that at the end, and that is probably the best part of the season. We start the season off with, they've been doing this a lot through the first 19 seasons of, who's the leader of the tribe? Who's running the tribe? Who's doing this? Like, Jeff will ask this type of question. Well, this season, we just vote on it. We're going to vote on the leader, and the leader gets to wear a fancy necklace, and that's really it. Like, unless I am mistaken, the leader has no real power other than calling out who gets to sit out of challenges on camera. But also through 19 seasons, it took 19 seasons for a black man to know how to swim on screen, because we have Jason killing it in the first challenge. Just as far as location, as far as tribe breakdown, everything that goes on to this first 10-15 minutes of the season. Brett has the first confessional of the season, which is insane. Is there a lot to like in the premiere, Lily?
I mean, I guess. I think it's hard because there's not a lot there. Like, it's fun to watch them pick a leader, but it almost would have been better if they had done it like the next day. So it's interesting to see what people go off of and see people's confessionals of like, oh, I should have been the leader. But outside of that, I feel like it's a pretty cookie cutter premiere for me.
Alex?
I did really like the first opening bit, like the choosing of the captain is a little goofy and stuff like that, but I think there was some interesting stuff when he's like, choose the smartest person, choose the most physical person, and they started getting into these whole things about like physical appearances and stereotypes and stuff like that. That part was good, and then they get to like camp life, and then it kind of falls off, especially because like I literally couldn't tell you who else gets content on the Fofo tribe except for Russell, just talking about the dumbass girl alliance and just how he wants to sabotage camp.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get to there in a little bit, I guess. You know, I always forget that Ben Browning is on the season, even though he's probably my least favorite person to ever play on the show, just as a whole. But we don't even get much Ben Browning content in the first episode because it really is the Russell show from the very beginning on the Foa side. On the Galoo side, it's just a bunch of people. Like it's Russell Swan as the leader, but all he cares about is camp life. And then there's just other people that are just kind of there. And it's not a knock on them because we do learn a lot about them sort of at the merge, basically what order they're going to get taken out in. But I think there's a lot of potential, I guess, there. Why does Kelly have dreads? Who's to say? we have Eric Cardona, which we know that he loves his alcohol by then. We have CGI Brett, who like today. Oh well, hold on. We have Kyle.
Hey, welcome to the party.
We have CGI Brett, who today I've done a drinking game for my pre-merge drinking game was every time Brett got a confessional and or was referenced on screen to take a drink, and it was 6 sips, so I made it. Kyle, I guess we'll go with you. Your just initial impressions of Galoo in these first couple of episodes of the season.
Well, it's really a lot about Shambo and how she's not fitting in because she's by far the biggest character. There's not much else to go off of. I mean, you get some sound bites here from like Eric Cardona, from Dave Ball. Interesting stat, Monica, of all people, gets a confessional in every episode this season, which you wouldn't think.
I mean, she's on second chances, so
exactly. So somehow 3 people from this tribe return. So yeah, but it feels weird. It's like they're such a nothing tribe. I hate to say that, but the story's not about them at all.
The story's not, and I talked about this yesterday when talking about oh my gosh. Yesterday seems like forever ago. The Jalapao, the Jalapao 3, how they're able to navigate the rest of the merge, and 2 of the 3 make it to the end game. And I said yesterday that this was the exact opposite, where you're rooting for these 3, and you're almost not rooting for this 4, just like from my perspective, because of one big piece in it that you just don't want to get there. At least I feel like logical audiences don't want it to happen. But once again, we'll kind of get to that end game as we go along. Jeff, through these first few seasons, has made it fairly obvious that he is not a fair play person. And I think more because of, the grandma thing and just other things he's done on the show. Yet he brings back Russell 3 times, 2 times. He brings his nephew twice. His brother gets casted on Big Brother. Alex, what is the big difference, at least if you're sitting in Jeff's shoes, what's the big difference between Russell Hantz and Johnny Fairplay? Because I'll take Fairplay 10 times out of 10 over Russell Hantz.
I feel it has to be something with like the time frame of Survivor as a whole and like where the series was. Because like when Fairplay was playing, I think people were still kind of in the like, oh, what's okay to do here? Because like, I guess we've decided it's a strategic show. Okay, but like, what's the line? And then Fairplay like completely crosses the line with the dead grandma thing, and it's like, okay, we hate him now. But so then Russell comes on at a point when like. What wasn't the show like kind of in like a slog at that point? Like people were kind of like tuning out. Viewership was going down.
Not really, because we have Micro. I know people are on the fence about Gabon, but we have Micro, Gabon, Tocantins. I mean, we have China right before that. So like we're in a good span of seasons and in a good span of characters. As much as I don't like Coach, as a character, Coach brought a lot to Tocantins.
Okay, so maybe it was just the idea that enough time had passed since then that there wasn't necessarily a question of like, okay, what is acceptable to do? And I guess people weren't really willing to keep pushing that line, but Russell was. And I think people, like audiences, resonated with that because they gave him such an edit of all these like huge moves he was doing. And that's probably why Jeff leaned towards him being on the show so much at that time.
Oh, and then going off of that, Lily, we're only, so at least in the pre-merge portion of the game, is pretty 50-50 on if he's being a dick to people in real time or if he's being a dick behind the scenes or in his confessional. And one of those examples is lying about the Hurricane Katrina, you know, his whole story behind that, and burning the socks and pouring out the water. But they don't see that, so we can't really use that as a way of like, why are these people keeping him along? Because we know that they don't know this. For you, and I guess putting yourself in the 2010s, what is appealing about this? What is appealing? Because, you know, Alex makes a good point of like, it's the time period, but even in 2010, I feel like this is not something that people would really resonate with them, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that there's like a genre of watcher, from my perspective, of people that love characters. Like people really enjoy when people lean into something that's not them. And so I think some people see this as he is a great villain. Like who loves to watch a show and root against someone is almost as strong as wanting to root for someone. And so I think people enjoy that, but I think now and a lot of people then recognize that this isn't a character, like this is just Russell. And so I think if you're able to separate that, it could be really fun. Like I love to hate read a book when I think it's really bad, but like I just got to know what happens to the dragon because I want to be able to crap talk it when people say they love it. So it's probably the same thing, right? But knowing that that's actually just Russell makes it really hard to want to like root for a villain, in my opinion.
And it's very similar to Sopranos and Breaking Bad, I would say, where the main character is inherently a bad guy, is an antagonist in a lot of people's lives, but we're supposed to support them because they're the protagonist of the show, like of the show we are watching. And I think that works for Sesternino. I think it works for Rob Mariano. I think it works for a lot of people, even like Tony. I think it works for a lot of these people. With Russell, for me, it's always, like you said, it just always felt like this is real. This is not Coach playing a character. This is who this person is. And he's going to get questioned on it at Final Tribal. Kyle, one thing I hate about Survivor, the Survivor fandom, is the revisionist history. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Not quite, so tell me, but I'm happy to talk revisionist history.
Both Russell and Jeff, in a recap of a previous episode, say, for the first time in Survivor history, someone found an idol without a clue. Russell says it multiple times. Jeff says it's further, and this just happened, 8-9 seasons beforehand.
Yeah.
Russell finds the idol without a clue, even though landscaper Gary Hawkins finds one in season 11, and people just kind of forget that. Yeah. I understand where they're going with it because he's going to be the main character of the season. Is there a way we can phrase that a little bit differently?
I guess the reason
we don't want to forget about Gary Hawkins, landscaper. Like we want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think the reason anybody says it that way is because Jed said that the idol was on the ground, and that was supposed to be the clue. But yeah, realistically, Gary had no clue, and it was the first idol that was ever introduced, which the show like never references. Hardly ever that the idol is from Guatemala. It is a different version of it, but still. So yeah, it really is just a way to hype up Russell.
It is,
and because he does it multiple times, I mean that is absolutely insane. In an era where idols, they started to get a little bit easier to find, but they were still you did need sometimes several clues to be able to find them. So I think that the difficulty of that is why they hyped it up more than what the history actually is.
yeah, we're still in an era where idols are fair, especially this version of the idol, are fairly new, and they're never in the same. So even if we remove 12, 13, the super idols, and we just go 14 to 19. 14, you had to go to exile to realize it was buried at camp. 15, yes, it's very out in the open. 16, you had to go to exile and realize where it was, whether it's at camp or at another place. 17, it's at the Sugar Shack. 18, it's at camp. But there are different ways of doing it. And 19, with the exception of 16, this is the first time they're replanting the idols again as well. And Jeff does make a point to say the idols back in the game. And then that pretty much stays the same the rest of time. I'm going to stay with you on this because we get to the Ben Browning challenge. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I said I love the water rugby challenge that happens in Token Genes, and I think it's the exact opposite with this challenge here, the backyard basketball challenge, I guess I'll call it, because Barassi gets hurt and Ben Browning continues to be a piece of shit. Do you think that we can do something like this challenge, or even the water rugby challenge from yesterday? Do you think we can do that now, or because of how dangerous they are? I guess is where I'm going with it.
I don't think so. Let me say, I think they could, right? Because like Fiji is a much better climate than some of the places they've done this kind of stuff. And people, I don't know, they're not going to be as rough. They're not casting anybody like Ben Browning anymore or anywhere close to it. Yeah, nope, probably not. We're never going to see it again. We don't even see the Water Rings challenge like they did the opening challenge of Winners at War. Like we don't see anything like that even anymore, and it's just unfortunate. Now it got super ugly in this season. I don't think if they did that again,
Outlaw.
It would.
What the fuck is this? What is this? What are you doing? This?
He's just
How
so cool.
Get here?
Yeah. So we don't have anybody like that on the show anymore. So could they do it? Yes. Will they ever? No way. Or Sumo at Sea. Like they're not going to do these challenges because they're just so worried now.
Well, and they in the next challenge that they do after this, which we're going to get to in a bit before I get to Alex and Lily on a different question. Mm-hmm. It's basically the same thing of like how are we getting away with people getting choked out in the middle of the ocean in certain situations. But before I get to that, Alex, Yasmin gets kidnapped because instead of having Exile Island this season, we have the kidnapping twist that we have in China and Pearl Islands. And yes, she is talking a lot and she's saying a lot that I feel like would annoy a lot of people. But you can carry on from there.
But Ben's the worst when he's talking to her. I mean, like, okay, I'm trying to even like see what I have.
Ghetto trash from Detroit. Ghetto trash from Detroit.
Right. See, my note that I have here is it's weird because I understand where Ben is coming from when he talks to Yasmin in the sense of like, you're my opponent in this, gonna treat you like I treat like any opponent, whatever.
Saying like, hey, let me help y'all out real quick. Because you haven't
she's not doing herself any favors. That being said,
Jason's even saying like
that being said, he sucks, dude. Ben is so like and then he tries to do a thing of like, no, it's just where you're from. But like, and then we're done at that point. Like I can't, like you're beyond help here.
Lily, if you're in that situation, you're not Brown. I'm not going to put you in Ben's shoes. Don't worry. I like you. Someone comes to your camp and is doing that. How would you navigate them basically telling them to shut the fuck up? Like, just how are you navigating it, especially in a social game like this where, yes, I see what you're doing, and yes, in my real life I would probably tell you. But here, how are you navigating that?
Yeah, so I thought it was funny. I thought she was funny. Like I think if I was on that tribe and I probably wasn't starving, I would have been like trying to be witty with her back and have fun, because I think the only way to come out of that interaction without her coming out on top is to be witty and downplay what she's actually playing, because you either lean towards not doing what Ben did but lean towards what he did and clap back, which is not beneficial, or you take it on the chin, which also just makes Yasmin come out on top, and you also don't want to do that. I actually have a coworker that has like this kind of humor, and so I've learned to like take it on the chin and find it funny. And so I think that you could pull that off if she was open to it, which I think if you're standing next to Ben, she would be way more open to that than talking to him. So
We get to the very next immunity. I think it's immunity or reward, where I think I sat up because I had laid back down in bed at a certain point today because it's like I don't want to watch this season anymore. But I laid back down in bed, but I had sat up when I heard what I thought Jeff said was attack zone, and it wasn't attack zone. It was battle zone. He called it battle zone, and I'm like, wait, they brought attack zone back, and I don't remember. But it's called the battle zone, but it's basically same-ish concept, but less people get kicked out of the challenge. But watching it, Natalie's getting choked in the water by Laura at one point. Ben somehow is not attacking Russell Swan, even though I feel like he would. I feel like Survivor does normally a pretty good job sometimes of audibling when things are not going a certain way. And I feel like after what they just happened in the last challenge, and knowing that Ben is going to survive and be here, I'm surprised they didn't, just say, oh, let's just do another kite challenge or something, just to like ease tensions a little bit. Kyle, are you shocked that they just went from one overly aggressive challenge to another in such a short time, with Barassi being taken out at that point, Ben being removed from the challenge? Everyone's he knows that Ben and Yasmin have had this moment now. Are you shocked that they didn't just call an audible and say, let's just do anything else?
Yeah, it is surprising because we get a bocce ball challenge in the next episode. So you could have just moved that up and done it here to, like you said, ease the tension. You can still do this challenge later on, and Ben gets voted out in this episode. So if you did it later, he wouldn't even be there. I think maybe part of it is that this challenge was like in the water, and in ways that feel scarier, but like you're not hitting the ground, right? It's like there's less things to fall on. So it is surprising that they're still doing physical challenges, but they could have just swapped it. They could have swapped it. This was for reward and immunity, so maybe they didn't, you can't do bocce ball for immunity, but they definitely could have switched some things around here.
Wait, side note, is this the challenge where Russell Swan chooses the comfort over the function?
I think so. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And because I have to look out for my women, because I have women back home, which means I have to look out for my women here, because it's the same thing. It's all right. Russell Swan's fine. He's the better Russell. I know. Go ahead, Alec. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, reasoning aside, I feel like we need to call attention to this moment, because this is like the first domino in this entire season, I think, because they choose the comfort, which is just blankets and towels. That does not help them out at all when it rains. And then Russell Swan breaks his own ass trying to like bust his own ass, whatever, trying to like repair the camp. And then
it starts.
Happens.
It is the domino effect that leads to what we get. I brought this up yesterday as far as like when we talked about JT perfect game and all that. And it's like, yeah, but if Joe doesn't get hurt, JT's going to catch votes at that tribal, and then things change afterwards. Yes, here, if Russell Swan doesn't, just because the way he picks eventually leads to basically the end of his tribe. And so going to Oh man, I don't even know why I wrote. Oh no, I know why I wrote that down. I mentioned this earlier already, so I'm just gonna just point it out and then move on. It's been a while since we've had a white woman with dreads, but we back, fam. That's exactly what I have in mind. But we back, fam. We're back. Russell and Fofo aren't the first tribe to come back from a disadvantage at a merge. Really, for you, just I know it's hard to do one like thinking about seasons 1 through 50 or whatever, but for you, just with what's in your mind right now, because you said you dump a lot. What's in your mind right now when you think of underdog stories in the show, like people or tribes coming back from any type of disadvantage? Is this, I know it's fresh, but like, is this something that pops in your mind often?
Okay, I was actually thinking about this on the drive back because I feel like there's been a couple times, I'm sure all of you gentlemen know more than me, but even if you think about like Jam Jam, Carolyn, and oh my gosh, what's the other guy's name?
Carson.
Carson. Like
It's fine. We
those,
can forget
What's
him.
his face?
I mean,
Yes. The grifter, the other grifter. Yes.
but it's like a similar situation. It is a disadvantage, but at the merge, it's so easy to fall back on. We are a block of 3 votes. Like, use us for this one, and then you can get in any crack that you can find. And I mean, in this scenario and in whatever season that was that Jam Jam won, like that's exactly what they do. Most of them get to the end, if not all of them, because they're able to find cracks and like split it up more so than if it's an more even split as well.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because I don't remember, and I just watched the season 2 years ago, but I don't remember Fofo being this bad. When you think of pre-merge tribes during this era, it is Oolong, it is what Ravu, and I'm missing. There's definitely a third one there.
Fong was bad,
and
all
Fong, yes, and Fong. You think of those 3. You don't think of Foa, and I think because all of our screen time is on Fofo, that in the back of your mind, it's like, oh yeah, they were probably winning here and there, because why would we spend so much time with them? When in reality, they are. I think by the time they merge, Jeff says they have lost 8 out of 10 challenges. Like, this is a historically bad tribe. One of my favorite moments pre-merge, and the pre-merge is not good. One of my favorite moments pre-merge is Jason basically saying, even though he says in a confessional, I don't really mean this, I will quit if y'all keep Ben here. Oh, yeah. Now, I know Jeff hates quitters and this, that, and the other, and it's fine. And one, even though he says it, Kyle, do you believe that he would have actually done it in the event Ben stays? But 2, would you have been shocked if he stayed anyway?
Do I think he would quit? No. Would I be shocked if Jason stayed?
If Ben had stayed, yeah.
If Ben had stayed, I'd be shocked. Yeah, I'd be shocked. Even though that's what Russell wanted. He wanted Ben. He wants
America's hero, Russell Hance, wanted
of course. Yeah. So this is actually an instance where Russell really doesn't get what he wants. So yeah, I would have been shocked if Ben had stayed. I mean, this is you just can't keep somebody like this around. I would have voted him out a long time ago. But when he's here, it's like you're really going to make yourself look worse if you keep somebody like this in the game, whether you're working with them or not. This is somebody who's on the level of, you just need to get rid of them so that you're not associated with them in any way. So Jason, I mean, look, he had to go to that extent that he had to threaten to quit to get everybody to do this. Like, good on him for making it happen. Wished everybody else would just have done it before, without getting that.
I want to go off of it because Jason, outside of Russell, pre-merge is probably the second main character of the Foa tribe. And just talking pre-merge about Jason, what did you think of his game?
I like Jason. Jason's always been a personal favorite of mine because I think that he is probably, I don't know, the most strategic outside of Russell in that group. Like, I know Natalie White had her strategy, but like Jason, I think was a little bit more involved in the like day-to-day of what was going on. And he's more forward thinking, like he considers getting rid of Russell at certain points. So I think he's very aware of his game and his position. So I like Jason. I think that he was in a good spot pre-merge.
Alex, we get to the Russell Swan of it all, the Russell Swan episode-ish. And we're back on Galoo, and once again, they're basically saying, "Oh man, Russell's wasting a lot of energy, this, that." And it's funny watching that episode, knowing what's going to happen, because it is basically foreshadowing, "Hey, this man's going to die on screen for a couple seconds, and we'll have to get used to it."
Yeah.
Just, oh no. Where I want to go with this is, you brought up the domino effect of what happens afterwards. Do you think that Russell could have actually kept them in check at the merge? Because they have only lost one person. Let's say they continue to win. They lose one person and Yasmin, and then we go into the merge. Do you think that he could keep them in check for one round just to say, "Hey, let's just do this, and then y'all can turn on each other"? Or was it inevitable?
So, okay. Well, so if Russell doesn't get medevac to that round, and there is that double tribal situation, I feel like I'm saying Monica probably goes in that scenario.
Monica was. It seemed like Monica, based off what we were being told, it seemed like Monica was going to go.
Right, and that was the same person that Eric, but actually John, but we'll get to that, was saying like that they should like throw it as a decoy vote or something. Like I don't even remember. But I feel like John would have went to Russell and be like, "Hey, we're going to do this," and Russell would have been like, "That's a terrible idea. We have 4 easy targets right here. Let's just get one of them out." And like, there's a chance they go for Hans and he plays his idol and then like does it again, maybe, I don't know. But at the same time, I don't think all that all those weird situations happen where they start turning on each other, especially because Monica wouldn't even be there for John to throw her name out.
And then we would get T-Bird on second chances, and it's just really screwed up everything after this moment. And
did Monica take T-Bird's place on second chances?
Well, no, but Monica wouldn't have been on the ballot
ahead of T-Bird.
Monica would have been on the ballot, and we would vote for T-Bird. Literally, just everything that happened with the Russell Swan challenge. Jeff says, he says it a couple times this season of this is the scariest that he's ever felt live, and because he wasn't there for the scooping thing, like he wasn't there on the beach for the scooping thing. But this is the scariest he's ever felt. You watching it most recently, what were your feelings, and have they has it always been like that? Is this one of those things you when you think Survivor Samoa, this is something that pops in your head?
No, it's not something that popped in my head. I actually forgot that this happened. I knew that there was a medevac, but I didn't realize that there was a second one. So when it happened, I'm like, oh, again, should have caught on to that foreshadowing. But it is terrifying actually to see him totally dump and then stand up like nothing happened and then do it a couple times. I think that nowadays Survivor, they don't get to that level. I think mostly because men feeling like they have to pretend like nothing is wrong is not as normal in society, which is great. So when men don't feel well, they don't try to push through, which is great. But also I think that because of so many things happening in the past, production is just so much more aware of the state that people are going into challenges, what's going on the day of the challenge, and that kind of stuff as well. So it was shocking to see.
It's at least through 19 days of this, knowing that all of these things are going to happen. This, yes, I have the benefit of hindsight with the scooping thing, and it's still scary. This is still scarier to me because Scoopin's able to get up and run into the water and he's able to recover on his own. And this moment, and for some reason, the blindfold somehow makes it worse as a viewer, at least from my point of view, because in my head, it's like, oh, he definitely doesn't know what's going on because he's blindfolded. He can't see that he's falling down. It's like, well, it's his body. Why wouldn't he? But it's
all his other teammates who are also in blindfolds are like,
Yeah.
Russell, stop leaning on the table.
Mhm.
Like,
and everyone else is in a cage. They can't see what's going on. And Jess reacts with, whoa.
I shouldn't be laughing. It's actually, yeah. It's really
Just one quick point out. Cardona getting clotheslined by the clothesline. Amazing TV. And that kind of leads us into the merge, where I know I just mentioned it with the Russell Swan thing of like, if only these people just stayed together, but they were chomping at the bit for a while to go after each other. It makes sense that this is the moment that everything kind of goes to shit. And this is also whenever people do the Natalie White did something case, they always go back to this round of, well, she got the women together to pull off this move. And yes, all credit to her. I like Natalie White, so this is not me saying, oh, well, what else? No, she got the women together to pull off this move on Eric Cardona. Eric goes, and then we get to the Keep Hope Alive tribal, the very next round, which inherently is a very fun tribal. It is fun. Even the shit-eating grin that Russell has on his face as he stands up. Kyle, memories on the Keep Hope Alive tribal council.
Actually, my favorite quote from that is when he's like, "I ain't finished playing just yet," like that. Oh man, I could just hear it. Like, yeah, it is very fun, and it is like, I don't think satisfying is the right word, because you're not really rooting for Russell. You're not really rooting against Kelly. You don't even really know Kelly.
Yeah.
So but it is a big moment. It's a notable moment. It's okay, I'm trying to think of like the last successful idol play. I guess it was Amanda Kimmel at the final six of Micronesia.
Yep.
So, and we'd never seen a successful idol play really this early. I mean, 7 votes against was a record at the time. And it's the second idol in a row that he played. So it's like a big shock. Nobody was shocked the first time, obviously, because he was flashing the idol and showing it to everybody. The second time, you could really see the shock on everybody's faces. And I think those reactions are what helped make this moment like as big as it is. Dave Ball's just gaping jaw, like, it's an image that you remember, all these images from this tribal council, so it makes it stick out as a notable moment.
I remember the lighting. I remember every Eric reaction on the jury. Laura with the necklace on, Shambo kind of still trying to play the part of
Yeah,
it is a very fun tribal, one of my favorite tribals of the first 20 seasons, despite everything surrounding it. You brought up Dave Ball, and I should have mentioned this beforehand because I think it happens earlier in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the merge episode. It was the merge episode. All 3 of you guys are engaged, so I'm sure you'll appreciate. What is Dave Ball really good at?
Making love.
Making love. Dave Ball is one of these characters on the show that the internet just loves to this day. But it's very similar. We did when we did the Africa one, we had Maya on who had never seen Africa. I'm like, take a guess on the person on this season that everyone loves for no reason. And she didn't know, and it was Jesse Camacho. It's like, yeah, just random people throughout Survivor history just get these big stand-ums, and we're going to get to another one at Final Four. But Danger Dave Ball is one of those players that when you see people posting these these fake Survivor casts, and it's like, the Dave Ball's there, of course. It's like Rory, it's like Dan Fuego, like there's these characters that have just lived on, and especially in a season like this where it's not like he's getting a lot of content on his tribe. People always remember Danger Dave Ball, and the fact that he's pretty good at making love when the chance presents itself. So Eric Cardona goes home, keep hope alive, blah, blah, blah. Monica is the only person that sits here and says, maybe we should split the vote. Watching it this time, I'm looking for reasons why people vote at Monica in second chances. And that's not me shitting on Monica. It's just more like, okay, let's just see let's just see what the fans, were kind of looking at. Monica's the person saying, let's split the vote, because in the event that he does have an idol again, then one of us are going home and we're screwed. And they're like, no, we can't worry about that right now. We can't worry about it.
Oh my God.
Lily, we're still early enough in the show's history where splitting the vote is not. It's a thing, but it's not the go-to thing at this point. Do you think that's why people are not listening to her? Do you think it's other reasons that they're not listening to her? Do you think it ever crossed anybody else's mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And I think something for me overall this season is we don't see, because this season is so focused on Russell, we don't know how people view Monica fully. Like, we don't know if people think that she's smart, she knows what's going on. We don't see a lot of people's reactions about her. So I think that, if I had to take a shot in the dark, it's probably 50-50 both. I mean, they're coming from a tribe where the leader, Russell, was like, I got to take care of my women. So if you think all the women want to do is sit on pillows and lay under blankets, then you're not going to take what they say as strongly as somebody else. But I think if it had been something that happened more frequently, it would have been more of a topic, even if it was Monica bringing it up. So I think it is a little bit of both, unfortunately, but maybe a little bit more that you just haven't seen it a lot. And it takes a lot to split votes, because then you're trusted, you have to really rely on people. So yeah.
Yeah. Next to my notes, I have the phrase "venture you fuck," because this is the round that we tie the vote and Laura Moret goes home. Alex, from what we are shown, Fetcher doesn't want to go to Rocks for Laura. He doesn't want. Oh, it does. I don't think he would have gone to Rocks for anyone, but he definitely doesn't want to go to Rocks for Laura. And at this point in the game, he does have a fairly good chance of not drawing the wrong rock. As someone who I know that you played a lot of games, yes, for a lot less money, but is this ever something that goes through your mind when it just comes to staying tribe strong, even if you're not in the same alliance? Is this something that goes through your mind of, okay, well, if I jump ship here, then something could work out? Or is this always, if it looks like they're playing the tribe game, I'm playing the tribe game too?
Well, I'm trying to think, because I think there's only been two. I've, like you said, I played a lot of games. I think there's been 2 times I had an opportunity to either vote this way and cause rocks, or vote this way and vote somebody out. That being said, in both cases, I had immunity, so I think it's a little different than what John's going through.
All right.
I know. I'm just saying.
So I guess, do you see where Fencher's coming from here?
I guess so, but also he says the main reason that he doesn't go to Rocks is because Russell told him, okay, if you vote out Laura here, then the next person to go be a FOA member. And it's like, for someone who has an entire confessional talking about how his entire tribe is an idiot, that's a really bad move.
Because guess who goes home next?
Right. Well, that's because of something Russell did, but whatever.
Yes. And so we do get into that next episode, and we start with, a Shambo dream. We have a Shambo says she's had at least 30 of these in her life. That just kind of predicts the future, which I'm assuming means that all 30 times the exact opposite happened, because she had a dream that Dave Ball goes home here and he doesn't, and they flip it on Venture. Kyle, of all the moves that are pulled off this season, I think this is inherently one of the best, but also one of the unnecessary ones.
Yes.
Like, yes, please go.
This is one of the stupidest things. Like, it's obviously great to get John out here because it gives FOA the numbers going forward. But the way it happens is just so mind-boggling, because Russell, he shows Fincher the idol again. And then he says, oh, wait, I shouldn't have done that. So sorry, John. Now you have to go home because I fucked up. Like, it's like, what could John, like, John is not a perfect player, right? He is far from it. but the manner in which he goes home here, what else could he possibly have done? Like what? It's such a funny reason to vote him
they
out.
probably were not going to vote him. Yeah, I don't think Galoo would have ever voted. Like even they wouldn't have voted. They still have other fish to fry, and you know, it's frustrating. But like I said, I get it. I get it as far as you kind of did this to yourself, Russell. I know I messaged all three of you actually. Our guest from a few times this season, Mario Lanza, did a whole thing on the fall of Russell Hands, and it's such a fun read because a lot of these moments kind of pop up of like, yeah, his game was over from here, or his game was over from here, and it just kind of keeps shooting himself in the foot when he does, and it's even worse tomorrow. Especially with the Danielle thing. It's like, why do you care that Danielle's closer to Parvati? There's a final three, fuck face. We talk about CGI Brett a lot. And I think because I was trying to pay so much attention to Brett this season that I actually forgot Mick existed until the auction. In the auction, Mick says something, and I'm like, oh yeah, Mick is still here. Like Mick is, and I don't remember which one of y'all said it, but like Jason had a lot of really good strategically. I feel like when Jason says, "Oh yeah, me and Russell have been working hand in hand," I believe it. When Mick says it's like, "Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all." Lily, what were your thoughts on Mick this season? Feckless Mick.
That, I don't have a lot, which maybe says something, but something that we have talked about that I thought was interesting, I know I'm jumping ahead, but at Final Tribal is that him having been chosen as the leader and having done nothing is used against him. Whereas, like, for not saying that Natalie did nothing, but she didn't do anything out like up front, right? For everyone to see. And that wasn't used against her. And so I think it's interesting the aspect of like being picked as a leader. You can't really fall into the background. Like that can no longer be your game here. Like that is not your role to play. And yeah, I guess those are my final thoughts about Mick. I really don't have any. I wish that he did something.
We will never talk about Mick again.
Yeah.
That's
my final thoughts. To answer the question, CGI Brett in a landslide. Like especially this time, I love Brett. Brett's awesome. I want more Brett. So I mentioned earlier about Monica Padilla being on the second chances ballot and everything that came with it. And so me trying to pay attention to reasons why they would even put her there. And I think the 2 rounds, the double boot episode where she is trying to rile up Russell, and ultimately, yes, she gets taken out, but like she gets him to show his ass twice, like in 2 rounds. Alex, what did you think about this whole the Dave Ball Monica Padilla boot episode, but specifically just her provoking him into showing who he truly is?
I completely forgot how much chaos Monica was able to stir up in that one episode. I literally have in my notes, this one episode gave Monica her spot on Second Chance. Because yeah, she's really good at being like, well, do you think this person is with you, Russell? Do you think you can beat this person? Because you sent me on the jury. I don't know about that. And of course he's just like, yeah, but you're stupid. You're a stupid girl. You can't do anything.
That is basically the phrasing that he uses. It calls her a bitch. And like Todd calls women bitches in China, and it's like it doesn't sound the best, but it doesn't come off as hateful. Whenever he does it, whenever Russell does it this season, like, yeah, he probably just does this for fun. He probably calls all of them.
I don't know.
Not to say that what Todd did was anything, but
I do. Sorry, one last thing. I do also have a note saying that, like, because Russell in the tribal that Monica gets voted out is like he says that if the 2 of them were on the same tribe, they would have like worked really well together. And I want to call BS on that, because if I think if they were on the same tribe, he would have voted her out first. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Natalie's going to bring that up a lot during the final tribal. But Kyle, I want to get to you as far as that same tribal. Monica's still trying to rile him up. And Russell basically says that playing hard means finding idols. And so this is more of a opinion question to you, because I have thoughts on what the game actually is about, what idols, no idols, all of that. What is playing hard to you? Just to you as an audience member and potentially a player, if you decide to go down that route, what is playing hard to you?
I think playing hard to me is just like always keeping your head in the game. Like always be thinking. Always be active. Don't just be like, if you're in a majority alliance, just don't assume that you're good, right? Like always be thinking about your spot in the game and how you can improve it. So that's not always seen, right? Those are thoughts to yourself. So it's like, if you're playing hard, other people are going to be like looking for them to show you something, or to show them something. So like, Russell, he thinks this is the trouble where he pulls out the idol and puts it around his neck, right? Yeah. So it's like, in his mind, this is playing hard, but in the minds of like, Kelly Sharbaugh, who, he doesn't know, that's not her definition of playing hard, right? Like, he doesn't know what these people's definition is of playing hard. So if you're going to be sitting in front of the jury, you need to know what their definition of that is, and not tell them what your definition is, because they're not voting based on what you think. They're voting based on what they think.
On what they think. And this is something that I've always I'll get on my high horse for this when it comes to games, because it does feel like there are a lot of people in org, LRG, Survivor, and everything in between the community that feel like, hey, you have to make big moves, you have to write resumes, you have to go after all these advantages, and if you don't, that means you're just just doing whatever. It's like, well, that's not true, because if you look at the history of the show, a lot of the winners aren't doing that. Island of the Idols, we don't get a lot of Tommy. Like, we have the one instance, but besides that, Tommy's not just doing. For some reason, my PlayStation just started doing whatever.
He's the exact person I was thinking of. Tommy.
Yeah.
He was exactly who I was thinking of.
So it's weird that even in season 19, we're sitting here watching this guy think that he is running the show from beginning to end, and there's no way I can lose, because I'm going to show everyone how easy it is to win the show. And Mario Lanza brings us up there in Funny 115. It's like, yeah, it's very easy. You're going to show how easy it is by giving Natalie a win because you're a piece of shit. And it's like, yes, that is exactly it. Lily, the prayer warrior moment, I think this is where Brett and Natalie's sort of are introduced to us. Like, this is the moment where it's like, oh, we learned something about these people today, and it's that they're both prayer warriors, and that God's going to guide their hands to win the challenge, and then he abandons them, they lose. But we do see them kind of bond here, and I do think this is the editors at least trying to show us either, hey, Brett could do this, and also, let's tell you a little bit about Natalie, because she is inevitably going to win the game. As you're watching it this most recent time, did you find yourself looking for moments with Natalie and Brett as far as like, okay, yeah, these are going to be the main characters in the last two episodes. Let me see what they're showing us beforehand.
I thought it just wasn't gonna happen, to be honest, because like we've talked about, so many people like, who is Kelly? I mean, she made it to merge, and oh, if she didn't have dreads, I wouldn't be able to pick her out of a lineup. You know what I mean? And so I think that is what makes the season so hard, is there were probably so many moments like this of Brett, of Natalie, of Jason, of all these other people having these connections that we love to see in current Survivor that we don't get. And so I guess it was a little bit of a like, oh, okay, this is something that Russell isn't talking over. This is important, right? Because we know Russell doesn't win. So what is this? For sure. It's sad that it had to take so long to get like a glimmer of personality from anyone whose name wasn't Shambo or Russell Hantz.
Fucking Shambo. Alex, Natalie has a confessional in the same episode where she talks about playing with her heart versus playing, just playing the game. And the the way I perceived it was I probably shouldn't be working this point. Well, I probably shouldn't be working with Russell at this point, but I am, and I don't want my conscience to come into play, because if my conscience came into play, I would have to get rid of him, and I think my best chance is sitting next to him. I know that we're a couple of episodes away from the finale, but just Natalie White in general, once we're actually introduced to Natalie White, the character, right around here, do you think she plays it the right way? Win or lose, do you think that this is her best option is sitting next to Russell? Or do you think she could have sat next to Jason and Mick and potentially still won?
I feel like, based on the jury's reaction to just other people in the game, I feel like she beats everyone in the final 6 except for Brett. She probably beats Shambo. Probably beats
everyone. Beats everyone. Beats Shambo.
I don't know. And she probably beats Jason as well, because quite frankly, I don't remember a single thing of Jason socializing with anyone from Galoo, but we see that a lot with Natalie, even if it's a couple things of a Galoo member does good in a challenge and she's like, good job, Laura, or something like that. And I don't know if that's just the editors just throwing those in just to be like, hey, she's a nice person, please don't be mad when she wins.
Please don't hate us. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think she had enough grace at that point that she would have beaten everyone besides Brett.
Kyle, do you want to push back? Let's say that it's Kyle, or not Kyle. You're Kyle. You're Kyle. Let's say that it's Natalie, Mick, and Jason. Mm-hmm. Do you see it potentially going a different way? Let's remove Brett because we know he wins, and let's remove Shambo because she loses. Let's say it's these three. Do you think that Natalie has a chance against both, or one or the other?
No, I agree with Alex. I was thinking the same thing, that I think Natalie beats everybody in that group. I think maybe it could be a closer vote between Jason and Natalie, just because Jason is a much more palatable person than Russell is. So there's a greater chance that he could get more votes. But I don't really know what his perception was from the jury. I'm not exactly sure what his win equity was like. But Natalie kind of had that story. I think sitting next to Russell enhanced that story a lot. So it's if Russell's not there, can you say I rode this guy to the end because I knew he was unlikable? You're sitting next to two, one likable guy and one just kind of likable guy, just friendly guy, one feckless guy. So I don't know. I do think that Natalie likely wins in that scenario, though.
Yeah, and you bring that up, and what I started doing with 16 whenever Ponderosa video started is at the end of the night after I finish the season, after I finish watching the podcast, doing the podcast, I'll just watch the Ponderosa videos to put myself to sleep. So I'm very curious, because I haven't watched the Samoa Ponderosa videos since probably 2020, of what the reception was for Jason when he arrived there. Because I don't remember I remember when Shambo showed up, a lot of people hated her. I have that ingrained in my mind. I don't remember Jason's reception, but I feel like it would have probably been fine. We at least didn't see anything that made it come off as if he was going to be this hardcore antagonist, especially of that group of 4. The all-time confessional of he's not Mike Tyson, he's Brett. My favorite Russell Hantz thing of all time, besides him losing back-to-back, is that line. That is a line that I use in my life almost. He's not Mike Tyson, he's Brett. And it's just because Brett is such a legend in this community, the more I hear it, the more it's but Brett wins, and Brett's winning immunity. Brett wins at the end, and Brett wins a lot of immunities. He kind of is Mike Tyson in a certain respect. Lily, I know I brought up your perception of watching them this time, of Natalie and Brett this time. If Brett wins the game, let's say Brett beats Russell and Mick, do you think that the backlash would have been as severe as when Natalie won, because these fans are crazy, and let's raise $1 million because what's his nuts lost 41, and they'll probably do the same thing for Jonathan and 50. Like it's one of those moments where it's just like, okay, guys, like we get it, your favorite person lost. It also had some crazy deja vu there. Is the reception of Brett different than Natalie's if Brett wins?
No, and I think I want to 100% blame it on the edit. I think that especially casual viewers that would donate to a fund like that believe that they are seeing the whole game through the edit. And editors choose to show us the most interesting storyline and try to show us somebody deserves to win. And they did not give Natalie a lot of screen time, but they did give Brett enough to make it feel like everyone thought he deserved to win if he got there. And so if I was just a casual viewer and that happened, I'd be like, okay, yeah, like everyone wanted this. This makes sense. This works. And so I think, unfortunately, for a lot of people, we don't realize that. And that would mean that the backlash wouldn't have been as strong.
Before I ask the next question, do all three of you know who wins the fan favorite this season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Brain
Okay.
dumped.
Russell wins fan favorite because of course he does.
Whoa,
Do
crazy.
you know who the second and third are?
Shambo
Shambo.
and Yasmin.
And Brett. And Brett.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
And Brett, someone that does not exist until the last 2-3 episodes of the season. These fans voted at the last second. If Brett beats out Jason, who I feel like probably should have gotten a few votes, I feel like even Monica and Dave Ball, there are a couple people this season I felt like the fact that Brett gets that many votes, is that the right phrasing? That many votes and gets third place when he's not even shown as a character until the very end shows that, yes, they were basically trying to throw it a red herring of like, hey, this guy's actually the one that wins. But he's no Mike Tyson. He's Brett. So
Can I also say one thing?
Yes.
When Russell says to Mick, I'm going to bring him up again. Oh my gosh, who knew this was going to happen? When Russell says he speaks really nastily about Shambo, like, oh, I need, whatever. I don't even want to repeat it. And Mick goes, wow, I've never heard you talk about her like that. I think that clicks for him when he shows people that piece of his personality that they want to go to the end with him, because there's a shift in the narrative, I think, that is missing from what's shown, and that people think we have to get him out. We have to get him out. And then I think that Russell starts to slip and shows personality. And then people realize, oh, he's not going to win because he's actually a jerk. And so I think that also, this shift, if we had seen that narrative from maybe a Mick, a Natalie, even a Brett, I think that would have also made Natalie or anybody else winning less of a blow, because all you hear up until Jason going is that we have to get out Russell. He's a threat. And then that drops. And I think that maybe that plays a part in it. But anyways, my 2 cents.
And just shout out the Funny 115 again. It's because Russell's the one telling us this. The reason that we think that this is true is because Russell keeps saying, like, we are only seeing Russell say this. And yes, we do at the beginning of the merge hear people saying, yeah, we should probably do something about this. And yes, right around the Monica vote is when, or even after that, when Brett wins at Final 5, Jason and I think Mick are the ones that catch the votes there. Russell catches none because it's like, yeah, these people aren't stupid. They understand what this is. We just have to live with this guy for a couple more days, and we at least put ourselves in a spot where we could potentially beat him. We're gonna trust that this man's gonna go out there and act like a piece of shit, and we give ourselves a chance at winning the game. Thank you so much for bringing that up. He starts to become very obnoxious after they get rid of Brett. After he tells Brett, yeah, like once again, horrible jury management, but that's not a thing apparently. He's Brett, like I could, don't worry. sends Brett to the jury, and he starts antagonizing Mick and Natalie. Is basically saying, "You guys are all screwed." He's sipping his little mimosa in the hammock. He knows and Natalie. This is actually where Natalie starts to fight, because she's saying, "Yeah, the aggressive people went home. Like, this is, you think the jury's gonna buy that?" It's like, yeah, I feel like I would. Alex, back to you. It's probably the last time I've mentioned the Funny 115. There's a moment where Russell says to Natalie, "I'll put you on the jury too," and it's like, well, you can't. It's not how it works.
I have to. He drank one too many mimosas and was like.
But I guess my question with that would be, in that spot, is it fine for you to act like that? Because these people can't vote for you in the end. Like, is it fine to just kind of act like, oh yeah, I've got the shit wrapped up? Because these people have no say in how the game turns out. You were going to the end with them, and unless they go in and say, "Hey, Russell's being a piece of shit all day," yeah, maybe. But like, do you feel like this is the moment where you could just say whatever?
Well, okay. So I guess I have 2 points, and they're kind of different aspects of this. So one, I feel like at that point the game is not over yet, and even though the people that you are talking, the 2 other people that you're still with are not going to be voting for you to win, they could still have an impact on what happens. Like, literally in Vanuatu, once it's the 2 of them, Chris is like, "Hey, let's do."
Twyla,
he does his little sneaky maneuver on Twyla to yeah. So there's still game to be played there, and like there's the chance that that like he said something to Mick or Natalie during that point that made them kind of be like, "Okay, I'm not going to play nice against him. I'm going to bash Russell during Final Tribal Council because he deserves it." So I guess you can do it. I don't know if it's a good idea. My other question is that, or my other point, I should say, is that this was clearly a Russell Hantz is going to be on Heroes versus Villains season, and here is why. So why did they put that in? They did not need to put in Russell being like, especially because he loses and you're trying to like hype up how cool he is. There's no reason to be like, "Hey, I got this wrapped up. You guys have no chance," unless they're trying to make him look like an idiot.
Which, sadly, I don't think they were trying. Like, they do a good job of making Coach look like an idiot. They don't do that with Russell this season. Like, they do, because of the amount of Coach gets a lot of screen time in Tocantins, but it's still pretty spread out among the 4 or 5 main characters.
Right.
Here, we're giving all of our screen time to him, and it never feels like production is in on the joke that this man is going to lose. It seems like it's like, no, we're going to make this man seem like he's inconquerable, whatever. And then when he loses, it's like, oh, our bad, but he'll be back next year, or next season in a couple weeks.
And he'll do even worse.
Yeah, and he'll do even worse. Don't worry, we'll get to that vote count. Kyle, I've been doing this for 6 years, whatever. I started whatever. And this time around, I've been doing it for 19 days. And during day 9, and during day 8, and during day 14, so these are the most bitter juries that have ever existed in the history of the show, bar none. You can't, because of, I don't care about the outcome of the vote. It's how the jury are presenting themselves. All Stars, these people just clearly hate both of these people, and we're going to tell you that we hate both of you. In Vanuatu, it's, "Hey, we hate both of you, and Twyla, you're going to hell because you swore on your son," and that's like the worst thing you can do. In Fiji, it's like, "Hey, all 3 of you are black, and we're really drunk, so like we're very upset with you."
I mean, yeah.
This, at no point during the Samoa, and I know we don't see everything, I get it. At no point during the Samoa Final Tribal do I ever feel like the jury is so overly upset that they're not thinking logically. So outside of Russell fans being upset that he lost, why do you think that to this day people still think the Samoa jury was so overly bitter that they voted almost unanimously for the winner to win?
Well, I think it has to do with what we've talked about. We really didn't see Natalie at all during this season. So it's like if you didn't see, if the outcome didn't align with what you saw, the jury must be wrong, right? Like something must be wrong, because I saw Russell play the best game of all time and I didn't see Natalie at all. So, that's what people are thinking. So I think and we get into this again with the Michelle and Aubrey thing. Where it's like, I didn't see that game, right? So the jury must have been better towards the person who played the better game, quote unquote. So yeah, they don't seem overly bitter. In Heroes vs. Villains, they're way more bitter towards Russell. Like, I think that is a hostile jury.
Straight up says, you're not going to win.
Yeah,
you're not going to win.
In this season, it still feels like he has a bit of a chance, right?
He's got a 55% chance.
Yes. Yeah, he does get 2 votes. So, yeah, I think it just has to do with the fact that it's not what a lot of the people watching see. When you watch again, you see a lot of the mistakes that Russell's making throughout the game with his social play and his jury management, and it's not good. But when you think back on it, just like, off the top of your head, you're like, oh, Russell made all the moves, so that jury was just bitter because they got outplayed, but that's not the case.
And this is where I go on my casual or the people that just have a warped reality of what the game is about. The game is not about big moves. I think we've been kind of convinced that it is because of the 30s and because of this and Heroes versus Villains, that it's if you don't make enough big moves, then you're not going to win. That's why I love doing the marathon the way that I do, because you learn from the very beginning it's not about that at all. Like, some of the greatest winners that we, like, as a collective, say are great winners weren't out here pulling off all these great blindsides. They were just great winners because they were great winners, whether because they were likable, whether they had the total package, which, we talked about JT yesterday. There are a lot of things that kind of go into it, and it's not just being the greatest strategist has ever existed, which even then I don't actually buy with him. I think because it was so new in 19 of like, oh man, he's finding idols and he's pulling off blindsides and he's working from the bottom. It's like, yeah, we've seen all of that happen in Cook Islands. This is not even a new thing as far as strategy is concerned. We've seen the same thing happen 6 seasons ago. Couple speeches that I want. I guess we have 3 speeches I want to talk about, and we've got 3 people here, so that's perfect. Alex, the Brett speech.
Okay. Yeah, one of the funnier jury questions I ever heard, and I forgot about him doing this time when Brett clarifies with this question about if we're going on a mandate, what would it be? And Brett clarifies, nothing sexual, just like, what would we do?
I'm a prayer warrior, so,
right.
We don't play that.
No, I do. I like what the question represents, because I think it does show that, okay, Mick was definitely just seeing Brett as this chess piece in this game, as opposed to, hey, I'm a person. Like, we're sitting around for 39 days. Most of that time we're doing nothing, and like, you didn't really even get to know me enough to be like, hey, what would I want to do in my free time? If we had like,
go fishing and talk about girls.
Go fishing and talk about girls. A thing that it's a very niche thing to do if you're 2 men.
Kyle, the Shambo speech.
Yeah, Shambo is she's just fantastic, right? Like, and so much Mick here too, by the way, somebody who is like absolutely absent from this discussion in the grand scheme of things. He gets like the funniest questions, because this is, of course, where we get feckless, which I think, I don't know. Speaking for myself, this is where I learned that word. I'm sure so a lot of people watching this learned what that was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say other than just that was that was hilarious. But
I feel like of all the bitter jury talks, like, I feel like she's the one that comes up the most angry. Like,
she does, and it's not even at Russell. It's at
hell. I'm voting for either one of you all. Yeah, I'm not voting for either one of you.
It's so.
It starts with the C, and Natalie's like, "You got that, Sham. You got." I'm not playing that game.
Yeah, and it's good for Natalie because it's like nobody on that jury is listening to Shambo anyway. They don't respect her opinion or agree with what she says. So it's like, you say you're not voting for me? That's great, because the opposite, like you had the dream. Sure, she had a dream that Russell won this season. So the opposite happens. So it's like that. I would be loving that if I was Natalie. And then if I was Mick, I really don't know what I would say. So
Feckless. You just go, I don't know what that means. I don't know what feckless means.
Thanks
and
for
then,
playing. I love the way she ends it. Just thanks
Yeah,
for
yeah.
playing.
Thanks for playing.
Lily, and it's I did purposely say this for you because the first time we met each other in the game that we played in, I dressed as Eric Cardona for Final Tribal, because once again I wanted to be as drunk and emulate him as much as possible. And so I wore a burgundy shirt. I was blasted. It was a fun time until, Lily, the Eric Cardona speech is my favorite jury speech of all time by a very large margin. Even though most of what he says does not actually make sense. What are your thoughts on his speech?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I feel like the viewers need it more than anybody that was there. And I think that for the final tribal like that we were given, this was the best part because he was last too, right? Did they show him last for us? So I also
Mhm.
think it was a great ending for final tribal, whether it happened that way or not. But as a viewer, it felt like a fun little pretty bow at the end of the season for how it ends. It felt like apropos or whatever you want to say. But yeah, I felt the same. I after watching it, I was like, wait, I don't remember that and I need that like ingrained in my brain. I want to close my eyelids and see that like every night when I go to bed.
And Natalie doing this, like it does once again. It doesn't make sense for the like him saying in what area does lying and all of this like get you farther. It's like on Survivor, but like whatever. Um, uh, Perception is not reality. Reality is reality. It's like no, perception is reality, but like whatever.
That part
Once
doesn't make
again,
sense,
none of it does, but because he's fighting for the good guy, it's like, yes, this is perfect. I need you to say all of the delusional entitlement, talking about mix. It's like, what are you talking? I didn't vote for myself. They voted me as the leader. And it's just not like we ever see Mick try to like overstep his bounds as the leader.
Yeah.
So a delusional. And when Eric sits down, and I'm very curious when I watched the Ponderosa videos of like how much he is drinking, because I did that with Token Sheens yesterday, and it's very clear on who's drunk during tribals and who's not based off of how much they're drinking during the Ponderosa videos. We get a 7-2-0 win for Natalie White. Russell looks very clearly pissed off right from the beginning, before the votes are even read, because he knows, because Shambo told him. And it's so. I was gonna pour myself a soda, but I'm gonna. For the longest time, watching Samoa has always been like, okay, good. We know what ultimately happens, so like I can get through this because I know what's gonna happen at the end. Today was the first time I've watched Samoa where it's like, yeah, I'm happy that Natalie wins, and I'm glad that Russell's sad. But I'm not like, I don't care. I think that's where it scares me for tomorrow, because it's the same thing. Like, Heroes vs. Villains is obviously amazing, Survivor the movie and all of that. To have to do a Russell thing again and knowing that he wins, like, okay, yeah, but what else happens? Like, I know that the double idol thing happens, but like ultimately it's just us leading to Russell losing again. It's like, I don't want that. So I'm fearful that after tomorrow, Heroes vs. Villains will no longer be my favorite season. Having said that, Russell has less votes in his 2 times today at the end than both Clay and Susie, which is always just a fun stat to go off of. As far as runners up, Kyle.
Yeah.
You don't have to give exact rankings, but like, where is Russell 1.0 for you as far as runners up?
Well, he's actually gone down over time. I'll say that. Like at first, I used to think of him maybe as like a top 5 runner-up, like really dominant game, great strategically, even though bad socially, but just like a lot of control in the game. But I think he's gone down because he does make a lot of mistakes. like whipping out the idol, showing John Fincher the idol, and then voting him out, like just telling Brett he's going to send him to fire, just like boneheaded stuff, voting out Shambo at the final 6. That's the only person he could beat at the end. Like, so I think as while he does have a lot of control towards the back half, especially, a lot of that comes from the fact that everyone knows they can beat him, so no one's targeting him. And I think sometimes he doesn't use it the right way. So is he still even in the top 10 runner-up? I don't know. He's either right there or like just outside of it for me.
Lily, how do you perceive his first go around as far as a runner-up is concerned?
Yeah, so I love this because Kyle and I are so different in our opinions of a lot of things in like a good way. A good way.
Yeah.
He will always be low for me because I prioritize social game. I think that that is like one of the things that people should focus on in Survivor and that the best players do. And that is Russell's downfall is his social game. So I would probably put him in like the lower half of runner-ups for me.
And then Alex.
It's okay. I think it's a little tough for me because, especially nowadays, I feel like Russell's considered one of those people who's put on the list of like they could never win the game of Survivor because they're missing.
Jonathan, you might even say.
What is that?
Nothing.
And Jonathan.
Well, yeah, okay. We can get to that in a month or so. But okay, if I'm like actually ranking based off of their games, I feel like it would be like somewhere in like the 20s, maybe, which is maybe a little high. But it's like I do have respect for some of the things he does in the game as far as moving it to places where it hadn't gone before and commanding a certain amount of control at points of the game when people weren't thinking, oh, we could beat this guy. But at the same time, it's like the sense of ego he has about himself that he can just do all of these things and think that he should win just based off of that, because he's not thinking about the social game at all. And even considering the strategic game, he keeps saying like, I played the best strategic game this game's ever seen. Right. But the one thing I noticed about this like watch through, and we've talked about this a couple of times, like pretty much everyone that gets voted out like after Laura it cuts to Russell weighing the pros and cons of like voting this person out. And for a lot of times he says the bad part about voting this person out is there someone I could potentially beat. And it's people like Jason, and it's people like Shambo. It's even people like Monica, who I feel like would be a little iffy on if they would get a lot of votes, maybe from the Glue girls, but I don't know how much else from everyone else. And so like he's not I guess just because he was really thinking like, oh, Natalie doesn't stand a chance, Mick doesn't stand a chance, I'll just take them. It's the easiest way, it doesn't matter. Long-winded way of saying, yeah, good stuff that he's done, but also really bad stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so, I've got two-ish things left. One, and this is not even a question, it's just more of a, Russell says the reason that he keeps Natalie right before the merge, I can't remember who she was up against already, because it's Samoa. The reason he keeps Natalie is because she has a better relationship with the Glue members. And it's like, yeah, right. So why would you do that? Because that's not going to change. If you bring her into the merge and she does exactly what she does, you are putting yourself in a shit spot. The other thing that I quickly want to talk about is at the reunion, the game is flawed. I know that probably all of us have things about the show that we are not fans of. If they ever changed it, they won't. We don't have to worry about it. If they ever were to change that, would that actually be the flaw? Would that be the flaw in the game of, oh, now the fans get the vote instead of of the players? Would that actually be the flaw?
What, just voting? Like people,
For the winner,
players in the game.
Russell says the reunion, the game is flawed because America should have a chance, and it's like, no, they shouldn't, because they're dumb as shit. Like we just voted for James as player of the season 2 seasons in a row, and he
let's give James the win.
We gave Rupert $1 million. Like, don't. But if that ever came to a situation where even if we don't vote for the winner, where they leave it in the hands of the fans for more than just what they did this season, is that the moment that it's no longer Survivor?
So I know we were ragging on this before, but Eric's jury speech is, like you said, probably my favorite jury speech of all time. And I know we were saying it doesn't really make sense, but I've kind of made it make sense in my own head. Because in that point where well, hear me out. In that point where he says perception isn't reality, reality is reality, I kind of now take that and I interpret that whenever there is a season ending and a winner result that I personally don't like, because I'm taking that as perception isn't reality. The way we are perceiving them on this edited TV show is not reality. Reality is reality, meaning the people that spent the time with that person 24/7 know for sure how that person played the game. I mean, and maybe there's some stuff that we saw that they didn't see, but they saw a whole lot more that we didn't see.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's no morally correct way that you can just be like, yeah, let's let the fans vote, because it would
have to be like Big Brother. Like, we would have to have live feeds where we watch them 24/7 for us to even have a actual real concept of what's going on.
Right. And even then, that's probably not going to work, because
Yes. Kyle, Lily, do you have anything that differs from what Alex said?
Agree.
Oh, no.
All right, final question.
All right.
Lily, if something that the modern day fandom would not like about Survivor Samoa.
Okay, I thought about this question. I think they wouldn't like tribal, because I feel like taking out live tribals, current tribals, half of the game is slithering between Jeff's questions and trying to answer and appease to one person and not another. Tribals this season, Jeff is basically saying what's going on at camp at tribal. He asked at one point, he's like, Shambo, your tribe doesn't like you. And that's it. Or I think he said, Shambo, you're basically on this other tribe's alliance. And that is crazy, because he would never do that now. Maybe it's because the game has changed, but also I think because people are so facetious, is that the right use of that word? During tribal, they're trying not to say where they're going to vote, or they're lying to appease somebody else, that just a straightforward tribal is just so why am I watching this? Let's get to the vote.
Alex?
The question being what modern audiences would like?
Yeah, what modern audience not like about Survivor Samoa?
Okay, I mean, putting aside the obvious answer, which is the editing of the season, this
which we're still complaining about now. So,
I would honestly maybe say the cast, because even not including Russell, the cast is kind of nasty. A lot of the time, Laura and Shambo is probably the most mild version of it. But then you have, Ben Browning, you have John just calling everyone idiots. You have Shambo and her weird feud with Danger Dave, because he said she was cooking the chicken wrong, I think. It's a weirdly mean season but that luckily has a winner that is super duper sweet. So at least there's that. But nowadays, I remember in 47 when Teeny was making fun of Sam for 10 seconds, and then they got canceled or whatever. If that's where we're at, they would not be able to handle it.
Well, that's very. And then Kyle.
Well, I would say the cast and the edit are the two big things, and I think they partly go hand in hand. I agree that the cast, regardless of the edit, is not great. But there's a lot of people that you just don't know and you don't feel satisfied about. Like if you took Russell has 108 confessionals on this season, the record. If you took, let's say, 50 of those confessionals, spread it out to Natalie, build her up as like a threat, a satisfying winner, build up some with Brett, make him feel like he could really challenge to get to the end. It's like, he's not getting to the end because you don't know him. So build him up. Then he could be a fan favorite that everybody's talking about for years. Maybe bring him back. Or like Kelly Sharbaugh, give her some more. So when Russell plays that idol, it's like, oh, I can't believe he just took her out.
Kelly.
Yeah, like so there's ways that you can improve this cast with the edit, and they kind of left a lot on the table here. There was a lot of potential with this that they left because they disregarded their cast so much, and it could have improved the season a lot more.
Actually, so all three of you took everything I was going to say is what y'all said, which is fine.
It's the big stuff. It's the big stuff.
So
Here, yeah.
I'll just say, I'll just cop out and say, oh, you can't say dumbass girls alliance anymore. Like, obviously, you should have been. Yeah, you should have been able to say it then. But like, because y'all took all of my real ones, I'll just use the cop out and say, yeah, this piece of shit wouldn't do it. Last because we have it. Who would your ally be this season? It would be Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he seems like it'd be
Nice.
Yeah, him or Kelly for me.
Her or Kelly?
Yeah, either Jason or Kelly. I think
Okay,
Kelly is a solid player.
All right, so what do we have coming up? Alex, I know you said today's your last day for apps, so what's up with that?
Yeah, Hypnotic Big Brother on Discord. Season 7 apps are closing tomorrow. We have some fun stuff planned for this season. So if you're looking for a Big Brother game to play, starts June 12th. And once again, apps close tomorrow. So hit me up on Discord or something if you want to throw an app in.
I'll be tagging you on Instagram. So yeah,
Hey, let's go.
Lily, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right. And then Kyle.
I do actually have something. I do have a YouTube channel called The Matt
Yes.
Chat. If anybody wants to check out any more Survivor talk, I'll also be back in 2 days to talk about Nicaragua. Everybody's
boy.
I'm on all the popular seasons.
No, I thankfully you are the only person I have for Nicaragua right now. So I had a couple drops.
I figured as much.
But thank you so much. Thank all three of you for taking the time to do this. I know that Samoa is kind of for me, of the first 19 seasons, I'm putting it right above Guatemala. So it would be 17th out of 19th right now. Thailand, Guatemala, this. I'm done with Samoa. I hope to never watch Samoa again. But thank you all for taking your time to do this. I think all three of you will be back. All three of you will be back right now.
I don't think I have anything on the schedule, but you can throw me on an episode if you want.
Yeah.
Let's run it back on Saturday. Everybody.
Okay. Hopefully, I have for season 50, which someone alluded to earlier, is exactly a month from today. A month from today, I will be on season 50, so that's exciting. I've got, but thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone. Oh my gosh, thank you to everyone who's reaching out in my DMs, like especially last night. I really appreciate it. I know this is a stupid thing to do once every other year, but I promise this is the last time I'm doing this. So we will be back tomorrow for Survivor, Heroes vs. Villains, Survivor the movie. And until then, thank you so much.